My guest is Hugh Cornwell.
Hello, Diane.
How are you?
Good, I'm well.
Thank you so much for coming here. You're sitting in the studios in Jersey City, and I'm having a hard time actually realizing that you're sitting here.
Well, it's on the way to where we're going, so it's perfect.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. You're on tour right now.
Yep.
Can you tell us about your latest release and what's going on with the tour?
The release that's with this tour is called New Songs for King Kong, which is a quote from one of the songs on Hoover Dam, which was the free download album given away on my website, Hoover Dam. And a song on there called Going to the City, which is all about New York, actually. And there's a song on there with, there's a line of the lyrics is New Songs for King Kong. So it was suggested that would make a good title for the album, which is a live double album of Hoover Dam Live and Rattus Norvegicus Live, which we recorded at a show the tail end of last year. So it's a double album with some nice artwork, and I'll have those on sale around on the tour.
Yeah, yeah, it's an awesome package. So you're playing at the Mercury Lounge tonight.
Later today, yeah.
Yeah, and what's the set?
We're doing two sets. The second one is going to be the Rattus Norvegicus in its entirety, as on the record. And the first set is a mix of some songs from Hoover Dam and some other Stranglers hits. Mm-hmm. You know, No More Heroes, Always the Sun, and a couple of other tracks from my other solo career. So it's a sort of a collection. The first set, like an introduction, and then the second set will be the whole of the Rattus Norvegicus Stranglers first album. And
what made you decide to choose to play Rattus Norvegicus from start to finish?
Well, I was talking to someone from the record label, and they asked how many songs of Rattus Norvegicus I could play live, and I said, well, about 3/4. So it suddenly occurred to both of us that with a bit of work, the whole album could be played. So in fact, all the needed was 3 songs needed to be worked on. You know. How
long did the adaptation take? I mean,
not long. A few days.
Do you want to talk about the band that you're playing with right now?
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah.
I was very lucky that Clem Burke from Blondie has got a break in his touring commitments with Debbie and Chris, and so he's available, and so he jumped in, and he's doing this string of dates with me, and it's great because it's done with their blessing, which is really nice. They're coming down to the shows and seeing how he's getting on. He gets a bit nervous about that, as anyone would. So that's Clem, and on bass is Steve Fishman, who has been in and out of my lineup ever since I left the Stranglers. He was on.
Oh, really?
He played the bass on Guilty, my first proper solo album, really, after I left. First proper studio album, because with live playing, because there was one before that which had a bit of program drums and stuff on it, so that wasn't totally live sessions. But Guilty was totally live, and he was in that touring band, and then he went off to do some other things, and then he came back again and appeared with me, played on Beyond Elysium Fields. He played bass on that, and then he went off again, and now he's back again this year touring with me. And
I've seen you play with other lineups. Is anything permanent? Or?
Well, it's down to availability, really, and what people want to do. I don't pay retainers or anything on people, and I think that can lead to a false situation as people sit around getting bored, twiddling their thumbs. So they're totally able to go off and have other musical experiences, people. And I mean, the reason Steve came in was because my bass player Caroline, that came on the 2 tours of America in the last year, one in the East Coast last September, and then in the spring in America, there was Chris Bell on drums and Caroline Campbell on bass. And she wasn't available this summer, so I had a tour in the UK, and so I had to get someone, so Steve came in. And it's nice if you've got a stable of musicians almost,
right, yeah.
whom if one's not available, another one, but people that you build up relationships with them. I mean, if there's a couple of other drummers I know that might be possible, as to draft in if Clem's not around the next time or whatever, or if Chris is not available in the UK or Europe or whatever. And I don't mind, you know.
Yeah.
Well, we all know that nothing is permanent, you know.
Right. Yeah, of course.
Vive la change, you know. I mean, really. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I left the Stranglers, really, because to ring the changes, because it can get a bit staid when you're stuck in. Well, I feel like that anyway.
Yeah.
I like change.
Well, and I see that. I
adaptation.
mean, and it's really. I mean, then you get a certain amount of freedom having a changing lineup also,
Of course,
and
it's
especially
very refreshing.
Yeah, and from being with a band for so long, and I mean, you've been away from the Stranglers now longer than you were with them.
That's right.
Yeah.
And in fact, I worked out that I've been playing on and off with Steve Fishman longer than even I played with John Jack Burnell and the Stranglers, because
Really?
because I played with him for 17 years and I've been playing with Steve for 19 years.
Wow.
So
Wow.
there you go.
Yeah.
You know, so it's things
Totally different perspective.
Things get into different focus, you know.
And I just get the feeling that you really enjoy sort of like the rolling of it and the organicness of being on the road and maybe picking up other players and collaborating.
Yeah.
You did a lot of collaborating when you were in the Stranglers. I mean, that was one thing that was interesting. You had 2 solo records out, I think.
That's right, yeah.
You know, in the duration of your time with the Stranglers. So you always had that something else to say, other people you wanted to work with.
Well, I mean, it might be productive in musically, but it shows a weak point in my character. I have a very low attention span.
That's
And
just called ADHD.
I get bored very easily, you know, and I always have done.
But I think that can really work for you then.
Well, in the
you
musical
know.
sense, it can.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it has its disadvantages when you're driving. My ex-girlfriend always used to say, "You're an okay driver, but until you start seeing something on the side of the road." And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, then you get distracted, and then you take your eyes off the road because you're more interested in what's going on, what you've seen." You know?
Oh, okay.
So with driving wise, it's not good to have low attention span.
So it's not a matter of not asking for directions. It's actually a matter of turning the wheel to look at that thing over there on the wall.
Oh, look at that! Yeah. You know, so it has its drawbacks.